I'm working overtime this week to get as many indie games of Next Fest coverage. So, for our first game of this episode, we have Ballads of Hongye. This is a city builder with a very different take on the design. You're not building a large city or a generational city. Instead, you are building in provinces, where the idea is that you have to complete different challenges based on the various needs and whims of your advisors. Your buildings come in different takes, they have different services, as well as being better or worse in different seasons. Your mission is to complete all the objectives for a province, which will then unlock another province with its own set of challenges. The game will also give you randomly chosen structures, which you'll have to make do with for each challenge. It's kind of going for a micro into a macro kind of structure for the main game, because you need to use your overall stockpile of money and other goods in order to unlock the additional provinces. You win a scenario once you've taken over every province in the region, and the provinces themselves are going to be randomly, I believe, shuffled or altered on each new play. You also hire advisors, as you see along the bottom of the screen, that will provide you with unique bonuses. And you are graded after you're done with a challenge here, which will determine your rewards, which you'll then be able to use for more in the structure. So it's kind of like a quasi-roguelike, open-ended city builder. My big issue that I have with this game from an onboarding standpoint, it is very hard to learn what the game is actually telling you to do. There's an entire talent tree of perks, unlocks, and additional abilities, on top of how you're supposed to plan out each province in terms of what you're building, why are people happy, why are they starving, etc., etc. And I think the game, if it gets some better onboarding, could be a standout city builder to look at. But for right now, this is definitely one for people who are looking for something advanced and a little bit hard to understand at the moment. And now for something completely different, this is Final Profit, a shop RPG. So this is essentially, what if we just turn Racketeer into an RPG? You play as Madam Business, who is trying to save her kingdom from the evils of capitalism by basically going undercover to take it out from the inside. So you level up by selling goods, and there's selling this kind of idle nature to this game, as you need to bring in money so you can then buy more stuff to then make more profit, so you can spend more money to get more goods, and you get the picture. As you level up, you'll be able to use more mana, which is used to acquire certain items, and I believe there's going to be spells and ways of automating or reducing some of the grind. The game also has a story where you'll have to keep up with your profits or keep up with the debt that you're accruing as you try to figure out what the evils of capitalism are trying to do for the land. This is definitely one of those, me kind of games. And I'm sure for a few of you watching this right now, you've probably already checked out or moved on to the next game in the showcase. Again, for me, I've been looking for another Racketeer-style management sim game. My main concern with this one is that from the demo, I did not see anything in terms of automating or growing the mechanics. You do unlock more shops, and there's a preview of that at the end of the demo itself, but I didn't get to see the connective tissue of these systems and where it's all going to go. So if you are like me and looking for another Racketeer style management sim game, I would say check this one out. But if the idea of this is sounding like watching paint dry, then this game is not going to do it for you. For our next game, we turn to Old Skies, and because it's an adventure game, we're going into slideshow mode, as showing footage would of course be spoiling it. This is the next game from Watchet Eye, of course Dave Gilbert, and for our game this time, we're going time travel. We play as someone who works for an agency that basically lets people experience the past and of course mess with the temporal nature of society. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of heartbreak, conspiracies, and challenge for this one. One of the big things about Old Skies compared to the previous games from Watchet Eye is that you can actually die in this one. But because we're dealing with time manipulation and travel, well, death is just a rewind away. From the demo that I played, you're going to, of course, be solving puzzles, making some light decisions as characters talk. I don't know if there's going to be anything in terms of multiple endings or multiple solutions to puzzles, but from a narrative point of view, this game looks like it's going to be another winner. And I'll be certainly looking forward to playing it when it is released. And of course, it will have all the usual suspects of Watchet Eye's voice actors and actresses, I'm sure. But with that said, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have a few more games to look at for the showcase. And as always, if you're interested in my thoughts on design, then check out my game design books. For entry-level students, we have 20 Essential Games to Study, and then the Game Design Deep Dive series that takes an extensive look at different genres, with free-to-play coming in 2022. For our next game, this is Last Command. I think this could be a hidden gem of Next Fest. We have a combination of Snake with bullet hell dodging. We play as a program inside a computerized world, and something is going wrong. It's going to be up to us to, well, I guess, snake our way to the mystery. The general gameplay is split between exploration as you explore the digital world looking for modules or programs that you can equip to your character, and these kinds of battles with set enemies. The rules are, you have to collect these data files that you see randomly placed around. When you collect them, you can then launch them at the heart, which will do damage. To lock that damage in, you have to run into the heart, otherwise it will regenerate. If you collect enough data files, you'll go into overclock mode, which lets you do more damage. Now, you can also launch them earlier, and the risk is that the larger your tail or your chain gets, the easier it is for the enemy to hit you. And each boss or enemy will go through different patterns. What you're seeing is played on Nightmare difficulty, which is, well, very, very difficult. But this game is certainly original, and I think there is a ton of potential here for fans looking for a different take on dodge 'em ups or bullet hell. And with the different difficulties does open this up, because it is certainly going to be on the easier side if you want to play it on normal or easy, or if you're like me, you can go to Nightmare. But I would definitely recommend checking out this demo. For our next game, this is Gigasword. This is Metroidvania with a giant buster sword. Our key mechanic here is that we can drop our sword on the ground at any time, and by doing so, our character gains a massively improved jump, can hang on ledges, but we lose the ability to attack for very obvious reasons. So the dynamic of this game is solving puzzles and exploring, while kind of dragging your massive sword along for the challenge. You'll find additional upgrades and movement tech, and in, well, typical Metroidvania fashion, you'll have to return to areas, upgrade, so on and so forth. I like the concept of this one. The demo itself I felt was a little bit slow for the kind of gameplay loop. I was hoping to see a little bit more in terms of what's going to be different with the movement tech. But the game certainly has an interesting take on the Metroidvania as well as on combat formula. There's far more puzzle solving in this one compared to, say, your regular Metroidvania, as you will have to drop off your sword or use the various mechanics of the world in order to move it around or do stuff with it, and then get it back because, well, you need it for fighting and for opening up certain doors. If you're into Metroidvania design, I would definitely give this one a recommendation. But again, as with games that are very specific to their respective genres, I would recommend this if you're a Metroidvania fan looking for a different one to check out. For the last game of our showcase, this is Dancin Divas. And this is a beat 'em up where we play as one of four kind of like pin-up characters or stuff along those lines. But the twist here is that while a lot of beat 'em ups are copying stuff like TMNT and Final Fight, Streets of Rage, and so on, this one is emulating the Simpsons arcade game. You have up to 4 players, and you'll have your standard attack, special, charge move, using a very interesting like pixel art kind of cartoon aesthetic. Reminds me in a strange way of stuff like Cool World from back in the day. But all the standards of the Simpsons arcade game are here, as you'll punch, throw, and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And the game, I don't know if it has online multiplayer, but it certainly has local remote. My main issue from the demo is that the AI is a little bit weird in terms of staying on screen. And there are cases where they would just kind of hang off and just like run out the clock. And I hope things do get improved for the finished release. There's also multiple paths and I assume multiple endings as well that you can play through. So while this is not the most revolutionary fighting game or beat 'em up that's out there, I would say if you are looking for a beat 'em up that is definitely heavily inspired by the Simpsons design, then definitely check this one out because it seems to be a very competently made one in terms of emulating it. So with that said, we're going to end our showcase for tonight. There'll be links to all the games down below. Be sure to do all the liking, subscribing, and commenting. Check out our Discord and Patreon, and come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where I examine the art and science of games. Until next time, take care.